Hello, friends, and welcome back to the channel. So, a really lovely fellowship has gathered here tonight to do some more brainstorming on the rumor that we heard a few days ago. So, it's my honor to welcome my lovely co host. First of all, Strider. Hello there, Ranger of the North.
Hello, everyone. Hello.
And also with us tonight is Kyle Megavanen. And premiering in the flesh tonight is a certain Hen. Welcome, Hen.
Hi.
To the point, as always. So first of all, we wanted to do a little bit of recapping, just to refresh everybody's memories. So the rumor we covered last week said that there is a character that arrives from the sky in a meteor/comet and is found by Harfoots. This character can't easily communicate and often forgets things. Which character it is currently unknown. So ever since we posted the news, there has been lots of speculations going around in the past couple of days, and we decided to do a little follow-up and weigh into some of the most popular theories. And starting off, the first picks we mentioned last week here were the Blue Wizards. So, Hen, what are your opinions? Do you think the Blue Wizards fit this scene and description?
It could be. Yeah, I think it's possible. It's perfectly possible. Whether or not it's a good idea is another thing, but whether it's possible, sure. I mean, Blue Wizards has been something that people have been talking about very vaguely for a while now. And it's part of Tolkien's backstory that has somehow really captured people's imagination, I guess, because it is so mysterious. And yeah, it's a nice ploy more than anything else to have wizards in it. Just part of the iconography, I suppose, of Middle Earth as we know it on the screen. So yeah, it's perfectly possible.
What do you
I
guys
would,
think?
I would agree that I think they are the most interesting option, also for me as well, because I remember reading that reference, the staffs of 5 wizards when Saruman is talking with Gandalf in when they go to Isengard. That's such an interesting line because, like, oh my god, there are 5 wizards, because you got like Saruman and Gandalf, and you had like that memory of Radagast, and now they're like 5 of them. Who are they? And then years later, I read the Unfinished Tales, and it's like, oh, these are the 2 guys. So ever since then, like 15 plus years ago, I wanted to know more about Blue Wizards, and I certainly think that they are in my top 2 likeliest options, definitely. So them, or perhaps a certain powerful elf. So I would agree. It would make a lot of sense if it is indeed the Blue Wizards.
I'm still not the biggest fan of that idea whatsoever. I think there's an interesting catch here that the Blue Wizards are kind of always, mentioned together, never just the one. And our league does suggest a newcomer. Of course, there could be info missing here, but I think it's just the one newcomer. Apart from that, I think it would be quite a nice callback to have one of the Istari get acquainted with the hobbits so early on. So if it's not Gandalf, then it would be lovely to see one of the Blue Wizards get to know them a little bit early.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next candidate that people mentioned quite a lot is another Istari, and that's Gandalf. So this one we haven't talked about whatsoever last week. According to the lore, he's not, due to arrive until Third Age. So what are your guys' opinions, Strider? Why don't we start with you this time?
Well, me and Gandalf, we go way back. So, actually, yeah, we didn't talk about him because, as you say, like, he's not really supposed to be here now, like at this point. But actually, if someone's going to be discovered by hobbits and he has trouble remembering things, perhaps this could really be Gandalf. Like, this could make actually a lot of sense in hindsight, because his connection with the hobbits, it would be, as Kyle said, very serendipitous if they discovered him. That was like the first meeting of any story with someone. So actually, I think I like that idea a lot now. If they're doing some, I mean, this is an adaptation, so if they're going to change lore in such a way that they put Gandalf here, I would actually love to see him meeting some hobbits. So that's a really cool idea, actually. Yeah.
Ken is dying to say something. Go ahead.
No, just Gandalf. It's like you say, it's kind of a nice prequel moment, I suppose, having Gandalf in there and hobbits. But it's kind of, I don't know. It's a little much for me, I guess. And it's gonna be a younger Gandalf certainly. So I don't know. It's weird.
Not necessarily. I mean, they were supposed to be old men when they arrived. So
sure. It's going to be weird seeing Gandalf played by someone else without the ploy that he's a younger Gandalf, which is the ploy that we do have with certainly Galadriel, with Elrond, a ploy that we had with Bilbo. If without that, it's going to kind of feel very weird to a lot of people, I think. So I don't know.
For me, I think, Amazon is clearly drawing upon some really familiar elements from the films. Like, we didn't expect there to be hobbits. So the hobbits are one of the most recognizable elements of Middle-earth for many, film watchers. But another really, really recognizable character is Gandalf. He's the MVP of Middle-earth as far as everybody's concerned. He's the one that people know and people are going to expect. So in that sense, it wouldn't surprise me if that was Amazon's logic as well. But of course, I really don't want to see that happen, not only because he's not due to arrive for another couple thousand years, but also I think his presence would take away from the agency of other characters a little bit. And I don't think these sort of emissaries are what the Second Age is about. I mean, even though the Blue Wizards did arrive in the Second Age, I would really, really much prefer the central events that this story will be, covering, to not have the inclusion of somebody as powerful and as much of a leader as Gandalf is.
Yes.
But unfortunately, I do understand the appeal, and I could see them deciding to go that route.
Yeah, I would agree with that, because if, as you said, he is the secret MVP and all that, and as far as tweaks of lore go, objectively speaking, I don't think it would be such a huge problem if we did see Gandalf in the Second Age. But I do agree, like, from the story point, it would probably take away from other characters. So I would also agree with Kyle, because I think it would be cooler to see somebody else, not Gandalf, because we already saw him. So let's see some Blue Wizards. Like, that would be amazing. Yeah. Like, if I had to choose.
Kind of Pavlovian response where there's Gandalf, your attention kind of gets drawn to more so than it would other characters. That could be, it could be a problem for the storytelling, I think.
And I think they could also, one of the things they could be playing up to is, during the Third Age, the end of the Third Age, Gandalf is basically the leader of the resistance against Sauron. So it would be kind of a nice, a nice circle to make. So this is where their millennia-long strife began. They're both Maya. And to finally see the culmination of this during the late Third Age, I think that might also be one of the draws. But yeah, not a big fan. So, but just one more question. So, if we do get Gandalf, who do you think could be portraying him out of the characters that we got?
I have no idea.
For me, honestly, I don't think I would, like, if they asked me to decide, I don't think I would actually even put Gandalf as Saruman here because you just cannot. Like Ian McKellen, Christopher Lee, just don't touch that.
I'm sorry, I
because
legit thought...
if you cannot put them and you cannot put them here, just give us Blue Wizards and all is good.
I thought you were gonna say if they're gonna ask me to do it, I would turn them down. I would love to see you as Gandalf, but we all know that there's another role for you, so... So, we also have another person on the list. Who could that be? It's Glorfindel.
Glorfindel, it's... If they're doing kind of continuity and they're kind of stitching it up with the movies, then the fact that Glorfindel doesn't feature in those would be kind of, well, who is this guy?
Okay.
I would agree that Glorfindel is probably the most logical person to arrive at this point. And as we saw, I mean, honestly,
it is what it is.
He's so cool that if somebody has to do it, like it's either him or one other cool person we're gonna mention later. So like if it's either one of those,
Armor Maggot.
But no. I mean,
well,
yeah. Honestly, like as we saw with Gandalf White, and if let's say a Glorfindel, because he was of course reincarnated, maybe this is his reincarnation. However, they are going to actually do it with the comets or whatever. Yeah, I mean, why not? I think he could be the one. That's why as he comes to himself, he has problems with remembering things and communicating. But as the time goes on, like seeing a really cool Terminator level elf, why not?
Yeah, it could also fulfill the function of the what are they called, or at least I call them the Lego superhero moments.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The superhero landing.
Yeah, for me, I mean, he's a really heroic character for sure. It could potentially justify a sort of an over-the-top arrival. But, having him arrive quite in this way, I think it would be a little hard to explain to the audiences why this particular elf gets such a mind-blowingly bombastic arrival. I mean, this is a meteor we're discussing.
Right.
So for me, I think I'd have difficulty seeing anybody except a Maya or a Vala, of course, arriving in this way.
Yeah.
Or, of course, somebody else who we're going to mention later down the line.
I think for me, it has to be a Maya. I don't know if we'll see a Vala in that kind of context in this show.
Yeah, we probably shouldn't.
Yeah, I hope we avoid that.
Yeah, we shouldn't.
Of course. No. That was just... It wouldn't surprise me if a Vala arrived in this manner.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I don't see an elf or a human arriving this way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very good point.
But if there is one who can do it, it is Glorfindel.
Yeah.
Just to be clear.
Yeah. Sure.
Like if there's one elf, it could be Glorfindel.
I'm with you on that.
So there's another elf that I wanted to mention that we heard speculated on rumors, like on Reddit and on Discord and stuff. And that's another elf that we broke the news that he'd be appearing in this show, and that's Finrod Felagund. What do you guys think of this very, very plausible option? Well, any takers? No?
I'll say I do expect Finrod to play a prominent role in the show. The relationship with Galadriel and the relationship with Sauron kind of ties everything together. So there's that, and that's pretty much all I have to say about it right now.
I
was gonna say, can you? What do you think?
No idea. I mean, sure, it's possible, especially if they're featuring him in the prologue. I mean, you don't want the prologue to be a kind of standalone vignette. You want characters from that prologue to kind of pay off. So that's kind of like a reasonable, conceivable idea to have Finrod in there, I suppose. Could be. I don't know. The whole thing is peculiar, so why? So having Finrod in there won't make it any peculiar. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if
Um,
anybody deserves it, it's Finrod. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I was
That's
gonna
all I
say.
have to say on it.
I was gonna say the same thing because, I mean, the way how he led his life, like he was one of the nicest elves, absolutely, in the whole
Yes.
Silmarillion, and I think like he is a lot of people's fan favorites, and including me and Akitia apparently. He's really cool, and if somebody would be deserving of being reincarnated and also willing to go back to Middle Earth and maybe help out again, I could definitely see him. Like besides Glorfindel, he would definitely be someone who would be likely to have a similar role as Glorfindel has. So sure, why not? Seeing him, though, still seeing him arrive on a comet or a meteor or
Spaceship, yeah.
not really.
Spaceship.
Well, one can hope. Finally, we need to discuss the elephant in the room. So the one character that will undoubtedly cause the most drama in this show is, of course, Sauron. So I would expect his arrival to be similarly spectacular. So I think he could fit quite well. What do you guys think? Kyle, we'll start off with you.
Yeah, I agree pretty much with exactly what you've just said. I think it's weird to have Sauron arriving at that point in the timeline, but maybe it's a flashback. And yeah, I agree. I think that there could be certainly like a grand entrance of the main villain, like that totally, absolutely makes sense.
Yeah, although
Yeah,
if it's a
they all make
flashback.
sense.
Yeah. If it's a flashback, I mean, do you think it could be a flashback to the first stage, or what did you have in mind?
Yeah,
Because, if it's the first stage, then I wouldn't expect hobbits to be there.
right,
Kinda.
right. Yeah, no, you're right. Good point.
Yeah, if it's a flashback to Sauron arriving to Arda, then there's definitely no elves, men, dwarves, and most definitely hobbits. So it wouldn't fit. Like, it doesn't make sense for him to arrive at this point in the second date. Like, he should be there,
Yeah.
you know, at the start of the present timeline. If there's some flashback at the start of the present timeline, he should already be in Mordor doing his things, or something already is being done on his part.
On top of that, like the character attributes don't seem to really fit. Like he's forgetful and all these things. That doesn't really, that doesn't really work, I don't think.
Why not? I mean, if anybody else can be forgetful, why not Sauron?
I don't know.
I mean, if somehow
kind of evil mastermind being forgetful.
It's endearing.
Otherwise, I think it's very plausible. It sounds the least stupid to me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the forgetfulness doesn't work for this kind of big puppet master of evil. You know?
I mean, if we could somehow see him coming from after what happens with Numenor, somehow he's coming back, but like, how do you get from an island to a meteor and then, like,
That's an
and
interesting.
his body was supposed to be destroyed, but then maybe he connects his. I mean, okay, I'm just like really brainstorming now, but like, he connects his body to like some part of whatever, like not his body, his soul, because his body is destroyed. So he comes back to Middle Earth, reincarnates, perhaps somehow, and then starts as he's reincarnating or like rebuilding his body, for example. That's why maybe he's forgetful. Okay, does that kind of make sense actually?
I like.
Or am I crazy?
Yeah. No, it makes sense.
It just doesn't kind of fit in the timeline unless they like do like a framework story that fleshes like real far forward
Back
or
and
something.
forth, yeah.
Otherwise it's kind of doesn't sound stupid.
Yeah, I actually like that a lot. That's very insightful.
Okay, so we somehow made this somehow make sense.
Yeah.
Nice. Well done, team.
Somehow. Okay, so if that's it, then I suggest we dive into some of the more, outlandish options. Does anybody have any suggestions?
I mean, we didn't mention of all the story. We didn't mention, completely
that's
Radagast, and we kind of mentioned Saruman. So,
Okay. Take it away.
Saruman, seeing him interact with hobbits, I don't see some deeper connection there. Like as with Gandalf, for example. But then again, maybe who knows? But if there's one other Istari who would make sense to interact with hobbits, it's definitely Radagast. So seeing him,
Socially awkward penguin, though. I mean, no offense to any other penguins.
Yeah, but nature and all that. I think Radagast fits the bill with hobbits.
That is true.
It geographically makes sense, I suppose, because the hobbits settle in the Vales of the Anduin, which is not far away from Rosgobel, where Radagast is
that's
settled.
also a good point.
Yeah, like several thousand years later.
Yeah. But the whole thing is kind of projecting the timeline,
Yeah.
It's not.
I think this would be very, very random, most of all. Like, what's the point?
Mm-hmm.
And what's the point of such a grand arrival for a character like Radagast?
Yeah.
He's not particularly, he's not a fan favorite character. He doesn't have a particularly big role to play anywhere in the stories of Second Age and, of course, the Third Age. So for me, it would be just like, why?
I don't think he even really went over that well in the Hobbit movies. So.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
He's very brief in those. He's like, I think his total screen time, I wouldn't be surprised if it's in the neighborhood of 8 minutes in ours. So yeah, sure, very small role.
Yeah. Okay, so now for the crazy options. Okay, so number one, that I want to suggest as a particularly, something that people have been calling for is, of course, Tom Bombadil. What say you?
Well, Tom is probably number one pick for someone to arrive on a comet. Like, if there is one character in the entirety of Arda Legendarium, like there's one person who can arrive on a comet and just hop off and chill with hobbits, like there's no other person than Tom Bombadil. It doesn't make sense at all. It doesn't make sense at all, but if one person can fit that scene perfectly, it's Tom. So if that happens, I'm just gonna forgive it. I'm just gonna enjoy seeing Tom Bombadil riding on a comet. So like that's my angle.
Yeah, and apart from it's not a prequel moment for people who've seen the movies, but otherwise it's functionally the same as having a wizard. Long beard, very jolly.
True. Very jolly.
And kind of mysterious powers. Same idea. So it's kind of the same as having a wizard.
Sure.
Gandalf stoner bro.
Yeah.
No, that's Radagast.
Very
right. Stoner bros there. Actually, now that you say
it.
Yeah. There's only one problem, that he's supposed to have been in Middle-earth proper since forever. Of course, they can change that, and still, even if he arrives in the middle of the Second Age, that's still a very, very long time to be residing there.
Yeah.
But
Kyle, do you have any thoughts about this?
He's supposed to be like a nature spirit so he's supposed to be like endemic to a place.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, exactly. He's a.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm done.
I was just gonna say, I think it's to have Tom arrive at all is weird. Like he was always there for me, so I don't really see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I would agree with that definitely. It wouldn't make sense, as I said, but if we're gonna see him riding on a comet, sure,
I agree.
That's
Let's do that. Kind of a big entrance to a character who's like so comedic, It has too much pathos.
That's true.
Or seems or aspires to have, I suppose, because it sounds really stupid, but it sounds like it has. Like it's trying to be.
Yeah.
There's also something that just popped into my mind that we hadn't really considered, that maybe this isn't an actual scene that takes place in the story itself. Maybe, I mean, this could be like a dream sequence. This could be a retelling of a myth or something.
A flashback.
So we don't necessarily know
Only
that
it works. Yeah.
it works, in my opinion, better than if actually
Yes.
it happens in the story proper. But yeah, that's also maybe it's like an origin myth or something to explain how hobbits first came to be. I don't know. I
Yeah.
kind of hope that's true.
Yeah. One can also always hope. We know that they've shot that. One can always hope that it's been cut in the edit. So yeah.
Oh yeah. That would be
Okay,
very
I think that is a good way to look at it. So we were, I think we already mentioned him actually. One possible character could be, of course, and we are in the area of the Outlander characters. So Tom Bombadil's little brother, Man in the Moon, or as he's called, Tilion, the Maya. So for people who may have forgotten this, there's a reference in Silmarillion when the darkening of Valinor happens, and then the how Sun and Moon were created. There's one Maya who is driving the ship or the vehicle that transports the sun, and there's one that's driving the vehicle of the moon, and his name is Tilion, and he's also known as the Man in the Moon, as he's presented in Frodo's song in Bree.
Also,
So-
Verandum.
Sorry?
Verandum is one of Tolkien's bedtime stories. It features the Men in the Moon very heavily. It's kind of loosely set in Middle-earth, a bit like The Hobbit.
Well, yeah. So basically, it is kind of the same person. So yeah, the Man in the Moon is the second character that would kind of fit in. And since we already have a reference to him, like to him and his love for drinks, guy had a fun one night, and then got drunk, and hopped on a comet and came down to Middle-earth, missed Bree, ended up at the Anduin Whale, met some Harfoots, and
I mean,
So-
it would be a cool way to tie in that that where that story came from.
Okay.
It's kind of on the nose, but sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
The
I mean,
whole
it's
thing
a
is-
meteor. Everything is on the nose here.
Yeah.
There's no subtlety whatsoever.
Very true.
I just wanted to address something else regarding why it maybe could be Gandalf. So the character is supposed to not be able to remember much and comprehend much and stuff. And we know that Gandalf, when he arrived back in Middle-earth after being, destroyed by his fight with the Balrog, he also had some troubles remembering some stuff. So maybe that could be a little callback, but most likely it's just, after you arrive on a meteor, your brain isn't all there.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna be concussed at the very least, and
yeah,
I guess that's
a
my other
bit.
point too. Like, if any character is physically arriving on this flying space junk that collides with a planet, that's gonna destroy the physical body, right? Like that's kind of it's a weird thing for me. I'm not entirely convinced of.
Yes.
I'm still not entirely with you on that one. I still think, he could get destroyed, and I know there's evidence, like we've chatted in the Second Date show. There's evidence of the Maya getting their bodies destroyed.
Yeah,
But there can also be a character who doesn't get destroyed by
I
the
suppose so.
impact.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay, so that's all from my side. Does anybody else has any theories or?
Well, yeah, maybe we can now discuss the potential ways of how they can handle this. So what we have is a character arrives on a comet or a meteor, and they have trouble remembering things. They are met by Harfoots, So maybe we can discuss the approach to this one sentence, because you, Lakiti, already said some ways that they can handle this and actually make it, fit with the setting properly. Like, for example, being a retelling of a story, or so let's maybe discuss what are your ideas on how they could actually handle this and make this fit with the world.
Can you first?
As to how to make it work.
Yeah.
I'm the one that probably rolled his eyes the furthest into into my own head when I heard this. So maybe I'm not the best person to ask, unless you're looking for a humorous response, I suppose. But I don't know. My own, the idea of the meteor in and of itself is a nice image, right? Like a meteor in a crater, and maybe there's some fire still.
That's cinematic.
That's a nice image.
Yeah.
Very Stardust.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, sure, and Terminator and many other things.
Yeah, of course.
Sure. Yeah, I'm kind of at a loss because the whole thing is, to me, very bizarre. But you could do it. Dramatic music behind it, kind of thing. Like pull back with a camera, past the character. I don't know. I'm trying to think of it like in visuals. I can't quite picture it in ways that don't make me laugh. So.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. It's certainly an epic visual, and we are gonna expect to see those types of things. I really like Strider's idea that he proposed, that maybe it's like a sign of someone's arrival rather than them actually physically arriving on it. Yeah, I like that a lot personally.
Yeah.
I mean, and like we're missing context, so we don't have the full picture, but. Yeah.
Yeah, we're missing context, and like we already stressed several times, this may not be a comet or a meteor at all.
Indeed.
This may be something else. This may be something that looks very spectacular and similar to that. We the last time we chatted about how we have the visual of Gandalf traveling through the stars and la 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 in the Two Towers. So maybe it could be something like that. Although we do have information that suggests there is an actual, I think, impact site and stuff. But still, we won't know for sure until we see it.
We'll just have to wait and see.
Words of wisdom.
Yes.
Okay, so gentlemen, this was really fun. Thank you everyone for joining us tonight. And first of all, thank you, Strider, for being with us.
Thank you very much. Always lovely to discuss anything Middle-earth related with all of you, especially something as fun as this topic tonight. So yeah, I had a blast as always.
It's been pretty crazy. Also, thank you, Kyle.
Thank you. This is great. This is always great to chat, and happy holidays to everyone.
Yeah, happy holidays.
Yeah, and last of all, thank you, Han, for your never-ending wisdom.
Yeah, I always like these discussions, so it's not difficult to get me to participate.
All right.
It was a pleasure to be with you on your, big screen debut.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So an honor.
It's good to see you. Yeah. Okay, so again, thanks for joining us, everybody. Like Kyle said, have a very pleasant holiday, and please like and subscribe. But until the next time, our friends, goodbye.
Goodbye.